I'm Roger Wakefield.
And I'm Julie Wakefield.
In this video, we're going to teach you how to network, and we're going to talk about small talk. Now, some people like small talk, but I got to tell you, I've actually talked to some people and heard from some people that are like, look, when people walk up to me and they just start talking about the weather, I walk away. I'm not here to talk about the weather. I'm here to talk business.
Well, and small talk can be terrifying if you're not used to talking to people you don't know, if you're an introvert. Can be terrifying. So really glad we're tackling this topic today. I think it's going to be really helpful for you.
And we're going to talk about some things that are really good to talk about and some ways to do it, but we're also going to tell you at the end things you want to avoid talking about. If you're a networker and you do this often, leave us a comment down below and let us know what your favorite thing about small talk is, or if you avoid it completely. And stay till the end and tell us what things that we might have left out that you don't think you should talk about at a networking.
So networking is all about building relationships, Roger. It's about getting to know people, expanding your network, knowing more people. You know, Chaz Wilson always says it's not about who you know, but who knows you. So you got to get out and be seen. And that's going to require talking to people that you may not know. And our first tip today has to do with etiquette. It's just really being open and being respectful to people who are trying to talk to you. Make sure that you have a great body language. Make sure you're smiling. Make sure you're making eye contact. You know, one of the things that I catch myself doing, because I'm an introvert, and so one of the things I catch myself doing a lot is if I'm at a networking event and if I make eye contact with somebody, I'll immediately look away. That's a habit I'm really trying to stop, because if somebody makes eye contact with me, I should smile and say, hello, how are you? And that's something you're really good at doing.
Me, I'm an extrovert. So meeting people and talking to people is no big deal to me. I can walk into a room of 100 people I've never met and pretty much know all of them by the time I leave. I'm just good at talking to people, but I enjoy talking to people. And it's not that introverts aren't good at talking to people. It's just a lot of time it sucks the energy out of them. And they're like, you know, man, because it takes them a lot of gumption, a lot of willpower to get up and just go talk to somebody they don't know. So learning about small talk is really good. Sometimes that's what you may need is like an icebreaker. And one good thing is, remember, if you're talking to somebody, don't close that circle. Don't be just four people standing here elbow to elbow where nobody else can get in. You're isolating yourself from people in the room that may want to talk to you. And Chaz also says, you're one relationship away from changing your future.
That's right.
And this may be that one relation is wanting to come talk to you, but you've blocked them out or made them feel like they're not welcome. And that's not really a good thing.
Right. You know, I always teach people, you know, to stand shoulder to shoulder apart and make sure that even if there's a third person here, there's room for one more person. You always want to stand in that horseshoe shape, because that's more inviting to people who want to join your group.
I teach people when they're inviting to get really close. And oh, okay, maybe not. You know, another thing about small talk, though, is you've got to be willing to start conversation. And, you know, we've got some different ways and different techniques that we use. Don't be like everybody else. Don't just walk up and say, so what do you do? That's what you hear at every networking
It's pretty
event.
common, yeah, because everybody wants to know that.
Absolutely. But get to know somebody first. And the good thing is, do you come to this event often? Meaning, look, this is a networking event. Maybe I don't come to a lot, but do you? Because if so, maybe you could help me know what people I may want to meet. And that can be great small talk. Is, you know, look, do you come to this networking event or other ones like this?
Right.
Another great one is, what networking events do you recommend? Which ones do you go to that really work for you? So just by being open, willing to talk, willing to communicate can be really good.
Right. And I love the one that you talked about too, when a lot of people always say talk about the weather, because, you know, you don't always want to start off those conversations with, so what do you do? Although that's so common. A lot of people will say, oh my gosh, it's so hot out here, you know, so much rain or whatever. A lot of people don't really want to go there. So I like the idea that you're giving them about talking about the event first and then see where that conversation could lead.
Some people don't like small talk. They're like, look, I'm here to work. I'm here to network. I'm here to grow my business. And we're all different. You got to remember, you want to treat them the way they want to be treated. And if you're just coming up talking about the weather or what your kids did this last weekend or where your latest vacation was, they may not be interested at all. So you have to think about things like that. That's why I try to keep it all about the event, the venue, or possibly the trade that I'm in or the service that I provide. Then I can talk about them and ask them questions. Well, I'm a plumber, and that's probably not as exciting as what you do. So
tell me about
yourself.
So the next thing you probably ought to think about is really trying to find something in common with them, common interests. So it could be a vacation, especially if it's in the summer. You might say, have you gone on vacation this year? Where are you going? Or what's been your favorite vacation? Because a lot of times you can find common interest there. I know talking about schools or colleges are things that you can talk about that might be something you have in common. You could talk about hobbies. A lot of people, though, I used to recommend talking about sports, but I've found that that is not something you should really talk about a lot anymore because people kind of get angry about that. And I don't know why, but sometimes it's not the best topic.
When I was in cosmetology school, one thing that we were taught when we had people sitting in our chair, you don't talk about sex, religion, and politics. But you're right, sports, you can really piss some people off if you're for the wrong team.
Oh, it's so true. So you have to be very neutral, talk about maybe the sport in general, but don't get in and start getting into an argument over Longhorns versus Aggies or something like that,
Longhorns
Roger.
win every time.
See what I mean?
So a good thing to do is also have a good list of questions. You know, when I teach people about getting in the trades, I tell them have good questions to ask during the interview process.
Oh, yeah.
But networking, it can be just as important to have a good list, and maybe it is. Have you been on vacation yet this year? Now, you got to look at them because their body language may tell you, okay, look, it's really not what I'm interested in talking about. But if you talk to them about the venue or the event, have you met this person who runs this event before? Have you done other networking events with them? If you know them and they say no, and you say, well, look, would you like to meet them? Or things like that. Having a list of questions that you can ask people, and I love the one again from Tina, what I do is not near as interesting as what you do, so tell me a little bit more about you.
Right.
And it turns it around and it gives you time to think, because if you can find out some things about them, now you have some questions that maybe you can ask.
Oh my gosh, that's so good because, you know, all roads are going to eventually lead back to what do you do? And I always like to ask, so tell me, why do you do this? How'd you get started in it? Tell me your story. And then also tell me what makes you different. So if it's a financial advisor, how is it that you started working for this company? Or what do you like about working for that company? Get into the why, I think, rather than the how, because you don't want it to become a sales pitch, right?
Absolutely.
You're just getting to know people.
And that's the thing, too, in the beginning, and that's where the small talk is good. And by small talk, look, I'm not talking about the way it's like, oh my gosh, it's rained so much this year. You're not talking about anything that's really going to benefit anybody. I like your thing. How did you get into it? You know, people ask me all the time, how did you get into plumbing? What made you want to do that? And when I tell them I used to dress as a plumber for Halloween every year because I thought it was just the coolest job in the world, they know I'm not telling the truth.
I sort of just said that's a lie. It's such a
But it's nice to have answers like that too, because sometimes people do ask you that. You know, I used to wear a shirt that said Texas Green Plumbing, and when people came up, because when I first started my business, that's how we grew our business, out networking.
Yep.
But when people would come up and say, oh my God, you're a plumber, I say, no, really, I'm a drug dealer. I just wear this shirt because it messes the police up. And
not good etiquette, by the way.
Not good etiquette. You know, which she did talk about etiquette. But it's so funny, and Julie's seen it. People would come up to me 2 or 3 months later and say, oh my God, you're the drug dealer. And it's
They're
like,
laughing.
No, really, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm a plumber. But it was really funny because anytime you can make people smile, make people laugh, even if it is small talk, it can be really good.
You know, the great thing about questions is that it really puts the focus on the other person and takes the pressure off of you. Get them to talk. Make sure that you're doing 30% of the talking and let them do 70%, because that means that you're listening more. And pay attention to those details. You know, they might mention to you, hey, I'm going out for my anniversary this weekend, or going on a big vacation this weekend. Pay attention to those details, because then when you follow up, you can mention that. And that really helps to form that relationship and form that bond between you and somebody else, because they know you really listen to them. You know, Roger, I always tell people, it's not exactly what you say, it's not exactly what you do, but it's how you make them feel. And if you remember something like, it's my anniversary this weekend, and you get an email saying, hey, how was your anniversary dinner? You know, thought about you this weekend. I knew y'all were going out for a big dinner. That really makes somebody feel special.
Paying attention to details can help you a lot. And I learned this from John Nemo, who talks about LinkedIn and teaches about it. Go in and look at people's profile, and he makes note of the details. He will pay attention to somebody. The neat thing is, you look at it like, when was this person at this school, and know something big that happened at that time. You say, oh my gosh, you were at the University of Texas when Ricky Williams broke the rushing title. And when you can remember things like that, they're like, oh my gosh, I was at that game. Tell you what, you've now connected, because you paid attention to details and you mentioned it to them, and they remembered it and followed up with that. It's actually pretty neat.
Oh yeah, remembering details is key.
And the good thing is finding common interests. We've talked about vacations and stuff like that, but bonding with people. In Master Networks, we talk about bonding because that's really where it starts. If you can connect with someone and literally make a connection that most other people won't take time to make, that is where it all begins. Because once you bond, once you're connected, you're going to find a way to work together and do something together.
Right. Can you just imagine finding out that somebody lives near you and plays at the same golf course that you love? Well, now you've got a perfect excuse to ask that person to play golf, and now you can further continue to build that relationship and build that trust just because you found something in common.
And another thing is, where are you from? We run into people all the time. They're like, oh my gosh, I ran into so-and-so, so-and-so. We grew up a quarter of a mile from each other. We were in the same neighborhood. We went to the same schools at different times. And those are relationships. Those are bonds that, people remember forever. So the small talk, as long as it's leading towards building a relationship, is okay. Don't just talk about the weather and the rain and how cold it is or how hot it is. Those are things most people really don't care about. And I've actually heard a big speaker say, look, when people start talking to me about the weather, I'll walk away. Make sure too, when you get ready to leave a group, you close the conversation. You don't want to just have, 3 people sitting there talking and you've been involved and then just all of a sudden you just turn and walk away.
Right.
It's really a great way to do it, to close that conversation. Just look at them and say, hey, you know what? I've got somebody over here I need to go talk to. I have so enjoyed speaking with y'all. I told y'all that I'd follow up, so I will. Thank y'all very much. And just politely make your way
Please
out.
excuse me, and then you go.
And then you go. Go do what you need to do.
That's a great tip, because a lot of people forget that step because they're so ready to get to the next person. Don't forget, slow down, take a deep breath, close that conversation first.
And just one quick tip too about getting to the next person, you're not there to meet everybody. You can meet 3 or 4 really good people and have wonderful conversations with them. That's going to be a better night than if you just meet everybody and have no meaningful conversations at all.
Right. Took you a long time to learn that, didn't it?
Yeah, I still try to meet everybody.
I think too, it's really important to stay positive. Avoid gossip. Make sure that even if your feet are killing you and you're exhausted and you're ready to go home, put that smile on your face and stay positive that you're happy to be where you are. Make sure you're fully present, mind, body, and soul right here until it's time to leave. If you feel your energy level dropping, go ahead and leave. Take your cards or the people that you've met and go and call it a good night. But you want to stay positive. You also don't want to get mixed up in any type of gossip. Oh my gosh, I got pulled into that one time. I didn't think I was ever going to get away because I didn't want to be involved in the drama. So avoid that and avoid sarcasm, I think, too, because people really want to know you. And at the very beginning of the relationship, they might not be able to see sarcasm. So make sure that you just stay really positive and that you keep that smile on your face, and then you'll attract more people that want to come and meet you.
So we talked about sex, religion, politics, and sports. Those are definitely things you don't want to talk about. So a couple of other things, or a few other things really. Diet. You don't want to walk up to someone and say, wow, you look like you're on a lot of diets. Do you know any good ones?
Yeah, or I just started a new diet. I'm on the keto diet or whatever.
Yeah, I'm on a new diet. Are you interested in learning about it? Do you want to get on it? Diets are not something that you want to talk about like that. Also, the cost of things. A lot of time in business, people ask you, well, how much is that? And as a plumbing company, it's really hard to give somebody accurate pricing without looking at it. And you just tell them, look, that's even hard to ballpark unless we get out there and look at it. So talking about the cost of things is not always a good thing to do. Another thing is interrupting. You don't want to interrupt people that are maybe in a conversation. You can stand there and politely wait for your way to enter it.
I do that too. Sometimes I get so excited and I feel such a connection that I start wanting to finish other people's sentences. That's a form of interrupting. And even though you're excited, somebody might not understand why you're finishing their sentences. So make sure you control yourself and don't do that.
Another big one is being too personal. And I see this all the time, and I hate to say it, but I do. I see guys that are there, and all they ever network with is women. And it's like, hey, come here often?
Yeah.
And you can ask people, do you attend this networking event or not? But some of these people, look, I'm a guy. And when I walk by some of these guys and I feel like I need to take a shower, it's like, okay, I know that's not right. But you can tell some of these guys that's the way they are. And I got to tell you, as a guy, the last thing you want to do is make someone feel uncomfortable. So think about the things you say and definitely don't get too personal. So What have we talked about that you agree with? Or did we leave something out that you think is very important? Small talk is good, but keep it focused on the event, the venue, your business, their business, something like that.
The other person.
The other person, because people love talking about themselves. Don't just try to come up with something just to talk to somebody else.
Exactly. You know, you're there to build relationships, to start a relationship, not to sell, and to maybe connect at a later date via email, Zoom call, coffee, appointment, whatever. But tonight is just getting to know people.
So that's what we've got about how to network. Leave us a comment down below and let us know what is your favorite part or what did we leave out. I'm Roger Wakefield.
And I'm Julie Wakefield.
We'll see you in the next video.
If we don't see you at a networking event first.